Welcome back to another episode of the Remote No Pressure Podcast. Bill, it's great to see you.
Great to see you too.
Enjoying the warmer weather?
I am. Yes, I'm loving it.
Any sunbathing yet?
Yeah, a little bit. My neighbors didn't like it though, so.
My neighbor next door is a really nice guy. I like him. Mm-hmm. He's a really good guy. He's retired.
Yeah, it's always friendly when I'm leaving too.
Yeah. His name's Kelly. Super nice guy.
Yeah.
And Kelly, I think he spies on us.
That explains all the cameras in the house.
That explains it. No, but seriously, like my comings and my goings and stuff. And he's mentioned before, like, I can't figure out which shift do you work, Jeff. I'm like, I work from home, dude. Like, not everyone goes to the factory.
First?
Yeah. So just say it's first. It's like not everyone works like a traditional schedule, you know, but he like watches our comings and goings. Mm-hmm. And the other day, my kids decided to play Fortnite, the real version where we created a whole thing out in the backyard of like caches of weapons and stuff like that.
Like real weapons? Like
real weapons.
Burying AKs? And
AKs. There was a couple of semi-automatic because fully automatic is illegal in Michigan, but but they were like
they don't know.
They don't know, but they were Nerf guns, and different things like that. And so, I just went out there. I didn't really want to like do it because it was cold. This was a couple weeks back.
Did you invite Kelly?
No, I did not invite Kelly. However, I saw him in the yard at the mailbox, because we're both going to the mailbox at the same time. And he's like, "Hey, I saw you taking some boxes out back there, playing with the kids." And I'm thinking, this is like 2 weeks ago, dude. Like, and sometimes I leave to go fishing like really early in the morning, and I see a lamp on in his house, and I see like one shadowy figure just sitting there. I'm like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. You ever have a crazy neighbor?
That like spies like that? No.
Anything.
Like I got a neighbor who lives across the street. I'm on a big main road.
Yeah, you are.
And I'll look across kitty corner, and he's an older gentleman, and he's got like a small house, but like a big garage, like for his toys. And I'll see it. Like when I was a drinking man, I'd sit out on my porch late at night having some beers and smoking some cigarettes. Not just cigarettes, just cigarettes.
Yeah.
And I'd be kind of like, I wonder what that guy does, because he'd be up late. And now that I'm, sober and like don't drink, I get up early, and he'll still either be up or, he sleeps short hours. But yeah.
Oh my!
But he'll then, like a certain time of day, he'll go out to his toy garage and, has an RV in there, and he had a motorcycle, the same model motorcycle I had. So like,
really,
that was weird. Yeah.
Huh.
I don't have a common. I guess it is kind of common, but like an uncommon model of that model. Did you ever like talk to him? Have you ever like? Nope. I nod at him.
Just nod.
Yep.
Just the nod.
Just the nod.
Like, I don't want you knowing too much about me.
Yep.
When I first moved to Michigan, my boys, John Nesbitt and I, not my boys, my kids, but my friends' boys, John and Patrick.
Yeah.
So we had a neighbor named Barb, and she was like very odd. Okay. And she smoked, chain smoker, and like she was just like, I can't explain it, but she couldn't drive, and we're not sure why she couldn't drive. Okay. But she was quite a bit older and had trouble getting around. She was, a pretty large woman.
Yeah.
And she would always ask us for rides. And we're like, no, I think Patrick, because he's so nice. Patrick's like, nice guy. He gave her a ride one time. It's like feeding a stray cat.
Yep.
And they want to come around.
Yep.
So I remember one time, she was a really large lady. Okay. And her daughter was like pretty normal, And and her daughter had one of those scooters that it was like an electrical, like razor scooter type thing, but with a seat on it.
Yep.
Okay. Like maybe the weight limit's like 125 pounds for kids, And then so Barb knocks on our door, and she's like, hey, can I get a ride? I need some cigarettes. She always needed cigarettes, And we're like, no, we can't give you a ride. So an hour later, like I'm leaving the house, and she's like halfway to the grocery store on the scooter.
Oh my gosh!
Like, oh my gosh! Crazy Barb. She was crazy, and her husband was always like ticked off.
Unfortunately, that was the day before camera phones where you could get proof.
Oh, I know. That's the thing. Like, we didn't have that stuff,
Yep.
But her husband, the reason I say this because I don't know why I'm wondering like this, but her husband was always wrenching on a car in the duplex driveway. He had NASCAR jackets on, and he was always pissed. Like regardless of the beautiful weather where he's like ticked off and mad at Barb, and it's like, but he was a real nice guy, but he was just always like, he was nice to us, but I think he was just like ticked at life,
I've known people like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this week I'm very excited to have Jon LaDeau from the National Reserve, the band, the National Reserve.
Awesome.
You a fan of their music?
Yeah, that was really good stuff. Still is really good stuff. I don't mean in the past tense. Wow,
right.
This got awkward.
Yeah, they're an awesome band. What happened was Matt Smythe was on the podcast. He's a poet, a fly fishing poet. Okay, awesome. Matt Smythe's a cool guy, and he had gone to one of their shows, one of their house shows, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you went and saw the National Reserve at a house show, because I think that would be amazing. He said, yeah. I said, did any of them fly fish? He's like, I don't know. You may want to check. So I reached out to them on Instagram. And it turns out their guitar player is a hardcore fly fisherman, John. That we interviewed. Yeah. And so the reached out to them, and he agreed to come on the show and talk about fly fishing and also his new album. And it's great. It's fantastic. So hang on in the episode, because you have a couple songs that we're going to be showing. And it's a great episode, man.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, welcome to the podcast. Let's light the fire. Today on the Remote No Pressure podcast, I'm very excited to have from the band, the National Reserve, Jon LaDeau. Thank you very much for joining us, John.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Now, a previous guest of ours, Matt Smythe, was actually on the podcast, and then he's a poet, and I don't know if you know Matt or not, but he was at one of your house concerts and posted it, and I'm like, oh, I love that band, and I said, do you know if they fly fish or not? Because I think the guitar player does, and so I had to reach out to you guys on Instagram, and so where's your home water, John?
Oh, well, I guess living in New York City, the closest streams I get to fairly regularly are up in the Catskills. I love the Neversink River up there, and the Beaver Kill and the Delaware River. There's some great fishing up there.
Yeah, there are some great fishing. Now, we had a guy on the podcast in our first season who actually who grew up in Manhattan. And young guy, I had to get his parents' permission because I don't think he was quite 18 yet. And he grew up fly fishing in Central Park. So have you ever fly fished in Central Park at all or not?
I have a funny story about Central Park, actually. I've never actually gone fishing there, but when I first moved to New York, I've lived here almost 12 years now. And when I first moved here, I was playing music and trying to kind of figure out how the town worked and where to play. And in the meantime, I got just like a day job, a couple days a week at Orvis as in the fly fishing department.
Sure.
And I used to take people into Central Park like on their lunch breaks and do like casting lessons. And so I've never actually fished in Central Park, but it was really funny to me to do that, kind of being in a big city for the first time and just being in the park, kind of, messing around with a fly rod.
Yeah, that is strange. He told me stories about how people would call the cops on him because they thought he was doing something illegal, fishing, fly fishing.
Yeah, I guess if you're not used to seeing it, you would be like, what's going on?
There's this massive hook flying through the air. What's going on?
Yeah.
Well, where are you from originally, John?
I grew up in southern New Jersey, so kind of right in the middle between Philadelphia and Long Beach Island. It's called the Pine Barrens down there. It's like a lot of state forest and national forest, and so I kind of grew up out in the woods down there.
Is that where you learned how to fly fish, or how did you come into fly fishing?
I kind of came into it the same way I came into music, and that's just through my dad. I'm lucky that, my dad grew up in New Hampshire, so he was used to doing that. He did that his whole life up there, and then when I was really young, he started taking me fishing in, northwest New Jersey. There's some good streams. So we would drive a couple hours up there and spend a day or a weekend or something just kind of getting out in the woods and fishing, and I fell in love with it immediately. I've always loved it.
Yeah, your dad, he's a musician as well?
He's not a musician, but he loves music. He used to play drums when he was younger, kind of more just for fun. But he just, when I was little, he like gave me like a Led Zeppelin album and was like, check this out, and just gave me a lot of great records, and that kind of sparked my interest in music. And then, when we had free time to kind of get out of town a little bit, we were going fishing too, and we still go fishing whenever we can.
That's awesome. You have a relationship like that with your dad. Now, are you guys like dry flies? You throwing streamers? What do you guys normally fish for? And
well, I'd say in the New Jersey streams, we fish more like nymph fishing or wet flies, just because there's not, I guess, the way that what am I trying to say? The way that like the bugs are on those rivers, there's not as much stuff coming up on the surface. So we fish more kind of on the bottom there. But I have gone out west and fished like in Colorado and Montana and Wyoming a little bit. And it's funny because growing up, we got kind of good at nymph fishing in New Jersey and in New York a little bit. And I know there's some good dry fly fishing in the Catskills and stuff, but the first time that I went to Montana, I realized that no one fishes like that out there. Everyone's just fishing with dry flies. And so I kind of learned how to do that a little bit out there. And that's really fun to me. I think it's maybe more exciting to fish dry flies and see the fish come up, but I guess sometimes you catch more fish fishing nymphs or streamers or something, kind of where I grew up.
Yeah, and I'm in Michigan, so we have great trout streams here, but my favorite fishing, John, is for smallmouth bass with the olive green woolly bugger, and
love it.
It's below the surface. I just love it. And sometimes I can stand on a rock and I can watch them come and take it, or a nice crawfish pattern or something to where they're, I love that. Even though I have trophy trout streams in my backyard, I prefer that fishing and wet wading, in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. What's funny too is like, I learned how to fly fish on trout streams, but where I grew up in New Jersey, we grew up on there was like a series of small lakes, where it would be like maybe a mile across by 2 miles long or something. And those lakes are filled with largemouth bass, and we call them chain pickerel and sunnies and perch. And so I've definitely spent a lot of time out on those lakes too with like poppers and stuff like that, throwing it in the lily pads and just trying to not break my line catching bass or something like that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. Now, you guys travel a lot. You're on tour. You just got back from Europe with the National Reserve. You guys do I love your music, by the way, and it's kind of got that old school feel to it. It's got that kind of dirty, but it's it's like modern as well. So kudos to you guys, and we'll play some of your music here in a bit. But when you're on the road, do you take your trout gear with you, or do you not have time to really do much fishing?
It's funny. I never have. We're usually pretty busy when we're traveling, but when we were in Scandinavia this past month, it was so beautiful there. Like everywhere we went, especially like Norway and parts of Sweden, there was just like mountains and waterfalls and rivers anywhere. And I spent like half the trip going like, oh man, I wish I could fish here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Sean was funny. He was like, man, we gotta get you a fly rod that like folds up small so you can start bringing it. And I actually was telling Sean, and we were in Falkenberg in Sweden just maybe 6-7 days ago, and I was showing him, pictures of how my fly rod kind of like folds up into 4 pieces, and I was like, I think I probably could bring it. Maybe I'll try to do that.
Well, what kind of rod do you fish with?
I think right now I've got a Helios rod from Orvis. They're great. I started off with 2-piece rods, and over the last 15 years, I've broken a couple rods by accident, and they replace them every time. They're awesome. But by this point, they've, I guess, sent me a 4-piece rod, which I wasn't crazy about at first because I thought it was going to feel different, and it's great, and it's easy to travel with, so I'm happy to have it.
That's really awesome. Now, let me ask you this question. Going over to Norway and Sweden and over to Europe, excuse me, it's beautiful there. But what made you guys, I mean, why did you guys go there? How do you pick where you're going to be touring in? And do you guys have like analytics or something, or what made you decide that area to go to?
I think I think it was the kind of thing where we have a couple friends who went over and were touring there. Our friend Haley Thompson King, who's a great songwriter and singer. She's based out of Boston. And our friend Zephaniah O'Hora, who's a great country singer, is based out of New York City here. They had gone over there and played, and I think we had just kind of been hearing about just the tour over there. There's a promoter called Root Seed Music who, brings American bands over and puts on tours. And I think that Bjorn had seen like our album release show or something in Brooklyn. I think he was here. And I think that kind of started a dialogue with him and Sean about, going over there to play. And I think over a period of a couple of years, it worked out where we were able to do it.
That's really amazing. Now, how many dates do you guys play a year, Jon?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd have to look to be sure, but I feel like we might have played 150 shows or something like that last year.
Now, was that, you guys recently had the album released, Motel La Grange. Were you guys promoting that album, or is that kind of why you were touring so much? Or?
Yeah, definitely. We put that out almost a year ago now, and we've kind of just been playing as much as we can to get that out there, and we're really proud of that album, and we put a lot of work into it. We're just really happy with how it came out, and so we're trying to just play as much as we can and get it out there to as many people as we can.
That's awesome. Now, where did the name come from, Motel La Grange?
That came from, I think maybe Sean would tell that story better than I could, but I know it had something to do with he was traveling and stayed at a hotel that he took that name from, I think in Kentucky somewhere. And I think it just came from a place he had stayed for a few days that kind of inspired him.
That's really cool. Do you guys have any crazy hotel or motel stories?
Oh, off the top of my head. I don't know. We've been surprisingly well behaved lately. So if I think of anything, I'll let you know, but not right off the top of my head.
Not like the Motley Crue. I don't know if you saw. Did you see their documentary on Netflix? Motley Crue just put out.
No, are they the guys who were riding their motorcycles around in hotels, or am I thinking of someone else?
Yeah, they were just completely out of control in their hotels.
Yeah.
That's not the National Reserve, huh?
We do a lot when we travel. We do a lot of Airbnbs, so
sweet. We're
usually on pretty good behavior.
You don't want to get a bad review. You don't want to get a bad review from those guys.
Yeah. We're I don't know. I guess we're trying to learn how to make things a little easier on ourselves.
Well, used to the rock and roll scene, these bands that would tour, they would party hard and things like that. Now it's like, and I guess it's the genre that I listen to also. The guys are pretty laid back. They're very professional. They take their craft very seriously. And a lot of them don't drink or smoke weed or anything, especially when they're performing, because it's a very professional, you have a job to do.
Sure.
Is that kind of your approach as well, or not?
I'd say we all enjoy ourselves a little bit, but we definitely, we're here to make the music as good as it can be. So I think that always comes first. And, if there's like some good tequila in our green room or something, we'll have a little taste of it, but we want to make sure that we put forward the best show we can every time.
That's awesome. That wasn't a trick question either. So just to let you know, John.
Did I pass the test?
You passed the test. I'm gonna email your record label tomorrow and tell them you guys are good. So, no, but James sent over a few files here. One was New Love, I'll Go Blind, and Standing on the Corner. Of those three, which ones do you like playing the most, John?
I really love playing all those, but I'll Go Blind is always really fun for me because Sean and I sing that together, and it just feels like that kind of always gets the room going, and that's always a good time to do that one.
Well, let's have a listen to I'll Go Blind.
And baby, won't you come with me? There's so much left to see, and I can't wait no more. I gotta leave, 'cause it calls me somewhere down the coast for several weeks ashore, and I ain't got nowhere to call my home. I go blind, just trying to find this place. I go deaf, just trying to hear your name. And I don't care just how long this may take, but I'll come home for you when this day finally ends. Now I'll tell you how it went. Down every dead-end street, and every time we speak, when I get home I promise not to leave. When I get there, wear my favorite dress, and keep your hair a mess, and tell me I've done good, but you've done best. And I go blind, just trying to find this place. And I go deaf, just trying to hear your name. And I don't care just how long this may take, or how long the road between us lay. But I'll come home for you when this day finally ends. Now I'll tell you how it went.
Well, I just want to take a minute from the current episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, we're always happy, aren't we, Bill?
Yeah, we are. We're always happy.
We're always happy.
Yep.
We're always happy when you listen.
Yeah.
We're always happy. You're our friend.
Yeah. Welcome. Welcome.
Welcome. Bienvenidos for all of our Spanish-speaking brethren.
Hola.
Hola. No, but seriously, Speaking of friends, speaking of being thankful, we're very thankful for our sponsors.
Yes.
And two of the sponsors that we have for our show is Sandhill Coffee with Phil Wingo.
Indeed.
He was on our show a couple
episodes ago. Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Really interesting.
Caught a sailfish on the fly.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. He's a fly angler, hardcore fly angler, but he also makes delicious coffee.
Yes, he does.
Speaking of which, what do you think about your new coffee?
Lake's Blend, right?
Yeah, I think it's called the Big Lake. The Big Lake.
Big Lake. Man, I'm always screwing
because
that
Lake
one
Michigan,
up.
and he's in Illinois.
It is delicious. It is good. I drank that all Saturday morning. I drank like several cups of it.
Yeah, and he had one for me. I drank the Juan Carlos. I think it's Juan Carlos.
Juan?
Don't kill me, Phil, if that's wrong. But it was a Spanish name, Juan Carlos, and it was delicious as well.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so I've been drinking it like every morning and loving it. So be sure to check out his website at sandhillcoffee.com. Take a look around. They've got pretty much any kind of coffee you need.
Yep.
And sweet merch.
Sweet merch.
Who's our other sponsor, Bill?
Deli Fresh Design.
What do you think about them?
Pretty awesome. Really cool business model. Recycling old gear.
Recycling old gear.
Old fishing gear. Yep.
Sales.
Waiters. Jinx. You owe me a coffee.
You owe me a Phil Wingo Sandhill coffee. No, but we were very happy that they sponsor us, and Deli Fresh Design, he's doing remarkable things and reusing things that would end up in a landfill.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so check out his website at delifreshdesign.com, and the name will make you hungry for a cheeseburger. But
yeah.
I promise. It's sweet fishing gear. So back to the podcast. So that was great. I really appreciate you guys sharing that file with us, or that song with us, and that's great. Now, do you do some writing on your own as well, John?
I do. I've kind of always written music and continue to work on that, and it seems to work its way into the band every once in a while. Sean and I will sing a couple of my tunes together, but part of the fun of the band too is working on stuff together. So we're kind of exploring that and seeing. We'll see what we come up with for the next record.
Yeah, and I noticed like some of your guitar playing. You do some of the fast picking, almost like a country style. When I listened to, there was a song on your website, is it JonLaDeau.com.
Yeah.
I listened to a couple of those songs. I think it was Go Away or Grapple, where you're like doing that faster picking style. Electric guitar, flat picking.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that style? Where did you get that influence from?
I enjoy that style. I got to stop and mention that it's probably Scott Metzger on those tracks, who is a just unbelievable guitar player that's also based here in New York, and we recorded those songs together. So I think I'm actually playing acoustic guitar on those songs.
Okay.
And singing, but that style of music influences me a lot also, but I really got to hand it to Scott on that. He crushed those songs, so thank you, Scott.
He really did. That was really good.
Yeah.
Now, where do you get your influence from? Do you have some artists that you really pull from?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I definitely started from a pretty rock and roll standpoint of, I mentioned before the first couple of records I heard were like Led Zeppelin 4, and I think I got like Aerosmith's Greatest Hits, which still, a lot of those songs still blow my mind. Of Brad Whitford and Joe Perry's guitar playing is really great to me. But also I think part of the fun of living in New York is like being exposed to so much different stuff all the time, and I go back to all sorts of different stuff. I love James Burton and Albert Lee, and Marty Stewart is a great guitar player to me, and so much. I feel like I'm blanking a little bit right now. But,
yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I know, like with Aerosmith, like their guitar tones are so good and so big, and just. It has created a unique sound for them. Would you agree to that?
I think so, and I think too, hearing Steven Tyler sing, it's like it's just my favorite thing about any style of music, whether it's like acoustic music or rock and roll or jazz, is just hearing someone who's just like so much themselves. Like, you know, when you hear Miles Davis, it's obvious in the first note that it's him. And same thing with, you know, Steven Tyler singing, or like, I feel like Jerry Garcia, whether you like the Grateful Dead or not, is a guitar player who, as soon as you hear the guitar, you're like, oh, it's him.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm a fan of any music that just sounds like, you know, very unique or individual, I guess. Anyone who's themselves, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Why is it so hard for a lot of musicians to break through that barrier and just be themselves, to be authentic? Because you can listen to a record and be like, oh, that's good, but you can tell that there's like, it lacks this authenticity versus someone who like just gives it their all and gives it their heart. Like I think of some vocals, you know, like Willie Nelson, like his voice, if you listen to that voice, it's like, dang, that's him, you know? And even though it's not like, you know, Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston or something like that, when you listen to his voice, it's like, it's unique, but you can also just kind of feel his authenticity through his voice. Yeah,
I think that's a great example. Yeah, I'm not sure I have an answer to that question yet. I feel like I'm always working on that myself, so I'm not sure I've arrived at a conclusion to that yet, but I'm working on it.
Yeah. It is. How old are you, John, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in my mid-30s.
Mid-30s. Okay. Yeah. So you've been through some life, you know. So you say you're always working on it. Do you when you're performing, and do you ever feel like you're not being authentic at all, or is it just something that you're constantly striving for?
I guess for me, it's just something that I always feel like I'm you know, playing and singing the way that I do, but you know, just trying to get to the heart of the song, I think, and put the song across, and I feel like that's always a work in progress.
Right. Is it difficult for you to capture the heart of someone else's song, or do you try to capture it regardless? I mean, like versus a song that you wrote, like the lyrics and stuff, or do you try to you know, even though if you didn't write the song, you're still able to really capture that?
Sure. I think there's a couple things with that. I think you know, first off, like, what makes me want to cover someone else's song in the first place is just something about the song that just I connect with and go, oh, you know, like I feel that way too, or something. So
sure. And
then if I'm gonna sing it, it's almost easier because you're a little bit removed from it, where maybe you feel like you're not singing about yourself or something. So I think in some ways it can be easier if it's a song that you connect with in the first place.
Sure, that's a good point. I could see that. You don't have the drama, but the song has become yours. You know, you don't have the broken heart that person has, but you've related to your own, and I could totally see what you're saying.
Yeah. Not that all songs have to be autobiographical or something like that, but yeah, sometimes it's fun to just kind of sing something lighthearted or just something that feels good and you want to dance to or something like that. And there's so much great stuff from New Orleans, and I don't know, I feel like there's so much good music that's a lot more fun than maybe some of the songs that I'm working on sometimes.
What are you working on these days?
Right now I'm just finishing up a full-length record that I want to try to release this summer, and it's a collection of 10 songs that I recorded with some friends that I've been playing with for a long time around New York City, and I feel like we captured kind of a good few days in the studio of just us in a room playing together, and I had some friends that are some of my favorite singers come in and sing some harmonies on the songs with me. So I feel like we got a really nice collection of songs, and I'm just working on kind of finishing up the album artwork and finishing up a music video, and hopefully I can release everything over the next few months and start getting it out there.
That's amazing. Well, Jon, be sure to let us know when it releases. We'll put it out and let our listeners know. And thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I really appreciate your time, Jon.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. Now I just want to go fishing.
Well, thank you, Jon, and thank you for joining us on another episode of the Remote No Pressure podcast. What'd you think, Bill?
It was awesome.
Yeah, you like the songs?
And I realized on this episode that I say awesome a lot. My apologies.
Do you?
It's not that awesome to say awesome so much.
Awesome is Bill's cough.
It is awesome.
Because I cough all the time. Listening to the old episodes.
Yep.
I cough and you say awesome.
Awesome.
So we need to make they become co-hosts on our show. Mm-hmm. The word awesome.
Let's welcome our new co-host, Awesome.
And Awesome in the Cough.
Awesome in the Cough.
That's how we should name the show.
That'll be our radio
Awesome
names.
And the Cough. What was the Family Guy you're talking about?
Dingo and the Baby.
Dingo and the Baby. Awesome in the Cough.
Awesome.
And the Cough. No, but thank you again, Jon. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Remote No Pressure podcast. Until next time. Oh, and by the way, this next song is from the National Reserve. Jon's playing guitar on it and doing some background vocals. The song's called New Love. Big shout out to their label for letting us use, Ramseur Records for letting us use their music on the podcast, because we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Bill, I don't think a lot of people understand how hard it is.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. What are we talking about?
How hard it is to license music for a podcast.
It is.
There's some legalities.
You gotta get written permission. Yeah. You can't just throw any music on.
I wish we could.
YouTube would crack down on you for any YouTube stuff. Everywhere, podcast, you have to have written permission,
right?
Or make it yourself.
But you know what? As a musician, I have my music on YouTube, and they send me royalty checks
on YouTube.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's very cool that they're doing that.
Thanks,
if you have
YouTube.
a publisher. Yeah. So that's very cool that they do that. So I understand it, but I really do appreciate Ramseur Records for letting us use some of the National Reserve's music. This next song is called New Love As We Go Out. Mm-hmm. And thank you guys very much.
Wait. Back up. It's called New Love As We Go Out? Or it's called New Love?
As we go out, we're going to listen to a song called New Love.
There we go.
New Love. New Love. New Love. Period.
Wait.
Wait, is it New Love, period? Or is it? All right.
I'm uncomfortable.
Until next time, go fishing.